Hi there, this is Old Man Kaiju bringing you a review of the board game Massive Darkness by CMON Games. CMON Games really lives up to its name. CMON stands for Cool Minis or Not. And they have some fantastic miniatures in this cooperative 1 to 6 player dungeon crawl adventure. To play, you select one of 6 starting characters. Everything from a barbarian that can use 1 or 2 weapons, usually better not to have armor on, to rangers, rogues, mages, dwarves, and even a paladin, which can substitute as a healer and a tank. After you select your character, you pick a subclass, and then you pick your starting equipment, and then you are placed onto the board and start to go through the dungeons. The dungeons are divided into areas of light and darkness. When you're in the dark areas, you actually get additional abilities to either cause damage, negate armor, or heal. Now, most games, the darkened areas are the scary areas, air quotes, because the enemies have special abilities. But in this case, you ambush them, you destroy them, you get their loot, and you move on. Now, I spoke about the miniatures before, and the miniatures in this game are very detailed. Now, this character, the barbarian, just has a very simple ink wash. This is one of the first major board games that I got that actually required painting. So initially I thought I would have a simple ink wash for the characters, a different color ink wash for the bad guys, and that would be enough. I did that with a majority of them, but then as I picked up additional board games, I thought, hey, I know, how about I try some better coloring? So then, as you can see the details better. You can see the bony horns. You can see the mace, the clothing. Stands out a lot. Now, spoiler alert for future video, my skills have gotten a lot better over time. And now, as you can see from this miniature from Aeon Trespass Odyssey, it's improved quite a bit better, bringing out a lot of details, and it's a fantastic miniature, lots of details, and a very fantastic game. But that's for a different video. So for this game, you start off with starting equipment in these cards. As you can see, this standard leather armor. Each character gets a piece of armor and 2 different items for their hands, if you're using one-handed items, or you can have a 2-handed weapon as well starting off. Throughout the course of the game, as you defeat enemies, you get treasures from levels 1 to 5. And each of the treasures, as they go up levels, become more and more powerful. Also, ranging 1 to 5 are the different guards that you encounter. Sometimes there are set objectives where a guard will spawn. As you can see on this card, this bad guy has 1 hit point per mob. It has 1 mob in addition to the boss character on here. For each player character, it does 1 yellow die of damage and has 2 points of blue armor. So the way combat works is very simple. You chuck some dice. Other board games right now have a lot of heavy card-driven combat, but if you're looking for a really good guilty pleasure game, chucking a lot of dice and seeing what happens, this is the game for you. In this particular case, you have 3 successes with yellow dice plus 1 critical, and then you have 3 successes with the blue defensive dice and 1 success, 1 critical defense there. Now, with some characters, that would be a draw, but others, like the rogue over here, has a special ability which takes away a defensive dice. And then with the weapons she has, she takes away 2 additional successes, meaning instead of having just the 1 success here, you have 3 successes and possibly a critical success as well. Now, as you can see, there are different colored dice. You have yellow attack dice, red attack dice, blue defense dice, green. It's really simple. The yellow and the blue are the basic lower tier attack and defensive dice, while the green and the red have more successes and better critical chances with them. So anytime you can have a green versus a yellow or a blue versus a red instead of a blue on your cards, you'll want to go with these. As you progress through the turns, you'll come across different doors, as you can see along there. Every single time you come to a door, you pick up a door card. I know, kind of funny. But when you flip the card around, it tells you what's there. In the first room in this series of rooms, you get 2 treasure chests and a guard card. So if you're in a level 3 zone, like over there, you go to here, a level 3 guard, and you flip it over, and you have Goblin Warriors. Because it's level 3, they have 2 red dice to attack, 3 blue dice to defend, and has a special ability as well. Plus they get 2 hit points per mob and 1 mob per player character. It's a really nice, easy way to set everything up. The next room in the series, no enemies, and you get a special +1 treasure chest. So if you're in a level 3 room and you have that, instead of picking up a level 3 treasure, when you open the treasure chest, you open up this, and right here, Ring of Braveness. The hero used their signature for 0 experience and 1 additional time per activation. That could be a real big game changer for someone like a Barbarian who gets multiple hits without using any experience at all. At the end of every turn, before going to the next turn, you have an event card that you flip over, telling you what happens. And this one, Roaming Monsters. So the roaming monster is a wandering boss, which is like this large shield maiden Cyclops here. It's massive, once again, towering over our poor little barbarian with special abilities like bypassing all armor, doing damage every single time she's in combat. You have your normal mobs, you have your boss level characters of the lesser variety and of the greater variety. The lesser roaming monsters are levels 1 to 3 on the map, and levels 4 and 5 is when the graders pop out. They have hit points on the cards, which depend on how many player characters you have, and use different hit point counters to show how many points of damage you've dealt to them. Once you go through the map, hitting the different objectives, you want to make it to the exit point, and then your adventure is over, ready to move to the next one. However, if you fall in combat, you're able to use this, the Lifebringer, which has several different life tokens that you can spend to resurrect a character since you are agents of the light. However, once you use up all the tokens and one of your characters dies, then it's game over for everyone. In between rounds, if you're doing a campaign mode, you can sell off your equipment to have upgrades in the shop, or you can trade them in for additional experience as well. If you're doing a one-shot game, you would not worry about that. Instead, you just have straight up XP instead of micro XP. Now, what am I talking about? They came up with a very unique way to handle games. In a campaign game, you have micro XP. So every single time you kill a normal mob, you get 1 little micro point of XP. And then after you get 5 points, you get 1 point of regular XP. In one-shot games, every time you kill a minion, you get a point. So right here, it takes 5 times as long to generate points of experience. You use your experience to gain new abilities, to raise levels, which unlocks additional weapons, and you can level your character up. Everything for like Barbarian, where when you spend this, you have a ton ability when you don't have armor equipped, an additional attack success, and 2 dice if you have no armor. So right here, just by not having any armor at all, you get these abilities plus basically plate mail at all times. And over here, when you upgrade to the next level, once you hit level 3, you can have it so you have 3 blue and 1 green defense dice plus 2 points of damage every time. So each of the character classes has their own special abilities like that combined with the character classes. Overall, this is a very fun game. I would say a solid 8 for me. It's a guilty pleasure. It's easy to start, easy to stop. You can pause and resume whenever you want to. It's really great when you have friends popping over to play. You could have some drinks, some food, pizza, whatever, TV on, and you can just smash through the mobs as they're spawning 5, 6, 12 at a time. 12 at a time? Yes, because when you have things like this, the Goblin Agent, at the end of every turn that this guy isn't dead, you spawn another guard card. So if you have a group of 6, every time you spawn a Goblin Warrior, you have 7 mobs on the board. Oh, another agent. So at the end of the turn, we'd spawn 2 more mobs. So this is 2 per player. So right here, you'd have 13 mobs spawning in a group of 6. And then you have another 7 here as well. The 6 mobs plus the boss character for each of these. So as you progress and kill the different bad guys off, you get a piece of equipment treasure for each of the little mini bosses in each of the mobs. You get additional treasure for the agents, special treasure for the mini bosses. So you were cycling through the treasure cards like you wouldn't believe. You were able to power up your characters, get them the things they want, build up the experience, and suddenly you have barbarians just swarming through everything. They're two-handed axes tearing through the mobs. You have paladins with shields that can soak enormous amounts of damage. You go toe-to-toe with everything. Except once again for this lady who bypasses all armor. So once again, you want to try to taunt her and get her away. Otherwise, she will spear you and end the game pretty quickly. By the way, awesome mechanic. Great thinking. Kudos about that. Now, the game does not come up with the walls here. You can either 3D print them yourself or, like I did, I took them from another game and put them up to add a nice little bit of dimension to it and a little bit more fun. Knocking the doors open, walk in, and having a room filled with mobs is pretty awesome. Especially when you have the fat treasure chests of loot in each of the rooms. So I can't recommend this game enough. Like I said, a solid 8. The only downsides would be that it is fairly simplistic. It doesn't have a huge branching storyline, doesn't have huge narrative aspects. But when you want to chuck some dice, chop up some trolls and goblins, a Cerberus type creature, a Helephant, yes, a Helephant, elementals and more, then this is a great go-to game. Now, Massive Darkness 2, Hellscape, did come out, which does expand on everything upon this game and makes it even better. So I'm guessing that one will probably be at least a 9 in my book at least, but we'll get to that some other point. Thank you very much for my first ever review, and have yourself a good one.